Alright guys, welcome. Today I am going to go over the next month of my marathon training plan and just kind of talk a little bit about what that looks like in the context of the upcoming year. So I'm going to actually pull up my marathon training plan on the screen. I'm going to go along with it. So first things first, in order to effectively develop any sort of training plan, it needs to be within the context of their life and then also the context of their overall training goals. And so a lot of people get into this mistake, this habit of having too many A priority races where they're trying to attack every single race that they have, and they might have multiple races in a year, instead of focusing on using each race as a milestone and celebrating that success, but know that it's also building up towards something else. And so for me, kind of my A race for the year is Ironman Lake Placid. Fingers crossed that it happens, but for this next month or so is about developing the marathon portion of that Ironman that's way down the road in July. So right now, January, building towards July, know that that's the context that this training plan is taking place. If the marathon was my overall goal, like right now, then I would probably be doing a whole lot more training. I would be doing a whole lot more running rather than inserting bike workouts, as you'll see in a few minutes. So with that said, we're gonna dive right into it. The first week or so, I'm pretty much just getting back into training. Traveled a little bit over the winter break, and I am basically just jumping back into training after the middle distance of Challenge Daytona, the half Ironman that I did there. So jumping back into training after pretty much 4 weeks of very easy or almost no training. That is why there's not really any hard workouts this week. So there's a medium long run where I went an hour and 20 minutes, and really a lot of these runs are just going by feel. I am not trying to bury myself. Again, this is in the context of building up towards a race in July. So I'm not trying to bury myself in training in this first 2 weeks, first 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the year. This is the aerobic base building season, and in order to effectively get to July or even the half Ironmans that I have later in the year, I need to have my legs and body and mind still want to train 3-4 months from now. I want to do as well as I can on February 7th, but at the same time, I also don't want to hit February 8th and not be able to train another step. So a lot of yoga to kind of give myself some time in order to reset both physically and mentally. So you'll see that a lot throughout here. On Saturdays, we have a group Zwift ride. So if you're a triathlete and you want to get into that, follow me on Zwift, and just send me a message on Instagram or something. But Saturdays we have these easy group rides that are just kind of a fun way to build up those long rides and keep people together in a sense of community without us necessarily being able to meet due to it being really cold outside. So after that, long run, probably the most important run of the week, but again, it's going to be by feel. So let's see what I wrote down here. Start easy, work down if you feel good. No faster than 6:45. Let the workouts take care of the hard efforts. So long runs for me at this point are based on feeling good. I want to feel strong at the end of the long run. I'm not necessarily trying to go out and practice my race pace, because my race pace is probably close to 45 seconds faster than that 6:45 pace. And again, that's the fastest that I want to go. So I have one hard workout in week 1, and that's a Vo2 Tempo mix. I really like these 30-second intervals because it's short enough to allow yourself to work really, really hard to build up that Vo2 max. But then the 30-second recoveries allow your heart rate to come down just enough that you're able to hit it again. So overall, that 10-minute segment of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, your heart rate kind of goes like this and is around a tempo heart rate. So you're able to get kind of best of both worlds, a little bit of Vo2 max work and tempo work at the same time. It's not perfectly like that, but in my brain, that's kind of how it works. So I have 3 by 10 minutes right there, followed by a 15-minute pure tempo block with a little bit of variation to keep it mentally engaged. So that is kind of what's going to take care of the hard workouts, because again, I'm not trying to bury myself in training leading up to this marathon. So that's week 1, lots of just easy running, lots of yoga, and then probably most important run there is the long run. Week number 2, very similar in type in terms of overall structure, except for within that Tuesday medium long run, I'm gonna have 2 by 5K tempo with some 30-second hills in there. So 5K tempo might sound like a lot, it might sound like not that much. For me, a 5K tempo at 5:35 pace is probably gonna be somewhere around 17 minutes, give or take how I'm feeling, give or take the course that I run on. So 35 minutes of tempo work plus, 30 seconds, couple minutes of hill repeats, and really that's to just kind of keep my body engaged, really fire my glutes, promote good form without necessarily overdoing it. So 2 by 5K tempo, easy day, really focus on recovery. That easy hour is probably going to be somewhere in the realm of 8+ minute pace. And then the next day, bike strength work, a lot of low cadence strength work right now. I'm trying to, again, build towards that longer term race. So really low cadence, 55 RPM, 40 minutes-ish of work with 8 by 4 minutes and then some 30-second hard segments at the end of that. Really right now we're trying to focus on building long sustainable intervals with a little bit of intensity. And it's kind of like baking a cake, right? You have lots of flour, which just tastes really bland, isn't all that exciting. And then you have little tiny bits like a teaspoon or a tablespoon max of those small ingredients that help the cake rise. So like your baking soda or baking powder. I'm not a professional baker, I don't really know, but for me, that's how I like to think of it, is you have some ingredients that you have a lot of, and then some ingredients that if you have too much of, cake's gonna taste really bad. Bike strength work, again, similar tempo style effort with a little bit of intensity. Another group ride on Zwift on Saturday, another long run. Again, that long run is going to top out at 2 hours. And I like to give myself some wiggle room, and I like to give my athletes some wiggle room as well. Like an hour and 45 to 2 hours, really at an hour and 45, is there all that much of a difference if I'm gonna go all the way to 2 hours? Mentally, I'll feel a little bit better if I hit that extra 1 or 2 miles, but physically, probably not a whole lot different. So I like to use that window, that range, to allow myself the flexibility to listening to my body, because that's something that people don't do. Is they try to hit these training plans, they try to hit these hard workouts, and they don't listen to themselves. They don't listen to that intuition that they have in their body, and that's something that's really important, especially when it comes to building a sustainable training plan or even building a effective race plan, is understanding that connection between how you feel and how fast you're going. So that's week 2. Moving on to week 3. Again, really similar in terms of structure. We have a little bit more intensity in the mile repeats. 5 to 6, again, a range there. 5 to 6 mile repeats with another Vo2 Tempo session. In the bike, pretty much same thing from 2 weeks before, but slight shift in terms of instead of 30-second intervals, we have 40-second intervals and 20 seconds of rest. Heart rate's gonna be a little bit higher, which is fine. That is the purpose of changing it like that. Take it easy the next 2 days to allow myself to recover. Third long run, no surprise there, 1 hour and 45 to 2 hours, and we're trying to go over hills. The race that I'm doing actually has very little hills. I'm going over a river, which usually bridges are slightly uphill on one side, slightly downhill on the other. So including some hills in my training, mostly for the strength building effect that they have for down the road, not necessarily race specific. After that, next week is where we have a slight shift. Thursday, instead of doing a hard bike workout, I'm gonna do Yasso 800s on Friday. So I give myself 2 days to recover after 3x2 miles where I'm going slightly over goal pace, slightly pretty much at goal pace, and then slightly under goal pace to mostly just kind of build in that mental comfort level with being uncomfortable at that pace. So 6 miles around race pace doesn't sound like a whole lot when you're comparing it to 26 miles, but again, we're thinking of this in the long term, not necessarily just one workout dictates that you're going to be race ready. 2 days of recovery after that workout, and then Yasso 800s, which are just kind of a fun way to build a little bit of strength, a little bit of speed. A lot of people like to use Yasso 800s to predict their marathon pace. So I'm gonna see how accurate that is. It's kind of a little bit of an experiment. Taper begins the next day, still a 2-hour easy group Zwift ride with a slight shakeout after that. And then biggest change there is that the long run goes from 2 hours pretty much down to an hour. It says an hour and 15 to an hour and 30, but really it's gonna be by feel. If I felt like those 2 workouts went super well during the week, you have the freedom, you have the flexibility to change it and listen to your body at all times. So probably an hour and 15, somewhere around 10-ish miles that day. And the taper has begun. Monday, easy run. Tuesday, still a hard workout, 3x1 mile, where I'm at threshold, or slightly, a few seconds slower than my threshold, but 3x1 mile where I am getting a lot of rest, but still feeling, kind of allowing my legs to feel snappy. Now if you take out all of the intensity leading up to a race, you start to feel a little bit sluggish. So keeping a little bit of that intensity in there kind of helps you get to that race feeling confident, feeling ready, and that's gonna be the last hard thing I do. The rest of the 3 days, 4 days leading up to the race are gonna be pretty easy, and then boom, Florida Marathon over in Melbourne, February 7th, we're gonna see how it goes. Overall, kind of the goal for this race, I would love to be 5:45 pace, so just over 2.5 hours. We'll see how it goes. Not putting a whole lot of pressure on myself to do amazingly astonishing at this race, because like I'll say for the millionth time, it's about building up for the future. So if I can do a pretty decent marathon with a short build up now and come back from that knowing that I am able to transition well into a big swim block, then I'll have that confidence, I'll have that mental capacity to know that at Ironman Lake Placid, let's say if I run 2:35, that a 3-hour 3:05 marathon isn't out of the realm of possibility. So a lot of these sessions, a lot of these races are just stepping stones, milestones that you can use for future races. And again, a big thing for me in this month-long training plan is having it be sustainable. I could probably go out there these next 3 weeks and just hammer some super hard workouts if I wanted to and show up on February 7th, fit as a fiddle, ready to rock a 2:30 marathon. But what's the price of that? If the price of that is me being out of commission for the next month and a half, it's not worth it. At least not to me. Training happens in the context of your life. Training happens in the context of your overall training goals, your vision for the future. So I'm excited to see how those go. I'll probably do a quick blurb at the very end of this, probably somewhere around Thursday or maybe even slightly after the race, to see how those workouts went, kind of compare and contrast how I thought they were going to go, because you never know, right? There's no perfect training plan. There's no perfect anything. Training plans are used as a guide to help point your ship in the right direction, and ultimately, you hope that you're doing all the right things, hydration-wise, nutrition, sleep, etc., and that your body responds the way that you want it to, but you never really know. Life happens, things happen, and you have to roll with the punches along the way. So that said, I'm excited to dive into this next month of pretty marathon-specific training with a hint of Ironman training. Who knows, maybe I'll even replace one of those easy runs for a swim. Probably not, though. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're headed, and I'm excited to see where that journey takes us. So, till next time. Still need a better way to end these videos. If you have a suggestion, throw it in the comments. A nice suggestion. 2 thumbs up.